Dave here from DNA Reptilia. Today we're going to prepare our frozen thawed rats, and the star of the show is going to be that vacuum chamber right there. I'm going to show you how I prepare our rats for frozen thawed, ready to be frozen, so I can rethaw them and or I can sell them to other customers that we may have that need frozen rats. First part is a culling chamber. I use, what are these, Sterlites? Yeah. Sterlite 16 by 11, the ones with the blue foam at the top, on top of the lid. You really don't need this valve, which I screwed in there, attached to a piece of plastic, really nice and tight so I can get it airtight. This is a valve to let the air out, or the oxygen out, and to close it off so no more can get in. This is a valve that comes with the extension for a CO2 canister for CO2 guns. Yeah. I use a 24 ounce. I got the adapter for it. Goes to that, which goes to this end, which is also screwed in the big piece of plastic. I have some silicone washers. I was able to make this basically a big nut for this at work. You could probably use hardwood. You gotta get the hole just the right size so that the threads of this guy will actually catch and make its own threads, and you can actually tighten it. This seal, if there's too much pressure on the inside, it'll actually bow up a little bit and allows oxygen, air, whatever to actually come out. It's not so airtight that it won't let air out, it just won't let other air in. I like to set my can off to the side while I'm working with it so it really doesn't roll too much around. Quick connect. Connected, ain't going anywhere. What I have in here is aspen. I use aspen in here instead of pine, because if aspen ends up in the rat's mouth and then you feed it to a snake, there is no toxicity from the pine being transferred, so we use aspen. Aspen is used just in case when you cull your rats, their bowels will release the majority of the time. This helps to keep the rat nice and dry so it doesn't smell like feces. These are larges. I don't need them to get any bigger because I need to be able to feed them off yet as frozen thawed. What I like about this tub is you can latch one side and still lift open this side. And this is the part I'm not going to let you see. They're still in there. And I haven't turned on CO2 yet. But we're going to get really close. Personal here. Don't mind me. You got to go slow with this. If you dial it in too fast, you're going to release a lot of CO2 very quickly. It's not what you want. What I do with this, you turn it all the way up. Right here it's nice and loose, and all of a sudden it just stops. So that's where the friction is. That's when it's going to start pushing down on the pin. I put my ear up to it, slowly turn it, Still going yet. Hold on. Ah. See if you can hear it. That's all you need. Is that little? A little bitty hiss. Oh. Yeah, I keep track on it because it's so little. There it goes. There. I don't know if you could hear that. Alright, quick intermission. Forgot to tell you, you only leave the CO2 on like that for about 5 minutes or so until they fall asleep, and then you would turn your CO2 off. Make sure you turn it in the right direction. You want to turn it counterclockwise with this fitting to actually turn off your CO2. Alright, while I'm waiting for the rats to be finished, we're going to talk about this guy. All I can say is this was worth the purchase. I don't do a whole heck of a lot of Frozen Thawed because a lot of my customers do live. But I need a place to put the overflow, and it's nice to be able to have them last over a year in the freezer instead of the old way that I was doing it, which would only last about 3 months, which was that I was just putting the rats in a Ziploc bag. Double sealed anyways, you know, it was a freezer bag, but it just seemed like they only lasted for 3 months. And I had to leave the bag open for a day while they were freezing to help to evacuate the moisture. Then I had to go back in and close them, and then I could finally stack them. With this, I can go right from here right to the freezer, and that's it. They stack fairly nice with how I'm doing it, so we're gonna go from there. Down in the description I will post a couple links to ones that are basically this one's gonna have various different names to it, but they're all should be the exact same. Okay. Yes, this is Chinese. Do you need to know what it says? No. What you do need to know is one's up, one's down. I think this one's up, this one's down. For each one. This one is how long it's going to be running the vacuum to pull the vacuum. You have control how long it's going to run. This one is how long it's gonna lift the bar up to actually seal your bag. No problem there. I left it at stock. I don't move it. And this one is the cool down of the heat bar. Again, don't need to move it. Not worried about it. No idea. Plain and simple. This is a storage hook because this lid has springs in it, and yes, these springs are quite fast. There is a plastic film that comes onto the stainless steel. I just literally took it off today. I left it on there for a couple weeks just because I was too lazy to take it off. Plain and simple. These are in here to lift the rats up a little bit, so it's a lot easier so I get the bags to go straight across. And I actually use these when I actually vacuum seal the rats. You will see me put the rats on here, put them in a bag, and put it on here. These are about 5 cents a piece, and I bought 500 of them. Amazon. Link of these will be in the description, of course. Not much to say about this. You know, you want to make sure you have it opened up first before you turn it on, and voila, it's ready to go already. Total control over the time. When I do soft animals, freshly culled animals, I do it at 11 seconds. When I do animals like pinky rats, I go up to 15. The only reason why I go up to 15 seconds is because the pinky rats are already frozen. So if they're already frozen, you want to pull as much you're allowed to pull as much vacuum as possible. When they're not frozen yet, you want it to be lower because you don't want to boil the blood. Yes, I just said something a little gross, boiling the blood. In a vacuum, if you pull too much vacuum, you can actually boil water inside of a vacuum because you're pulling oxygen out of the water. It simulates a boil. Well, if you do that to a animal, you can actually boil their blood, or pop their lungs. Internal damage, I know they're already cold and they're going to be going in the freezer, but you really don't want to do that to your animals, so that's why it's nice to have complete control. Now with a food saver, you don't have that control. It's set. Goes on, it runs up to a certain pressure, holds it, clamps it, and hopefully you got a good seal. That's what I didn't like about a food saver. I had the hope and dream that I had a good seal. This thing, I've had only 2 bad seals, and I've done quite a few things with this. I've actually vacuum sealed some cheese from Christmas, quite a few other things. I had lots of fun with this thing already. I don't use this just for rats. Oh, roach food. Pulled a vacuum on some roach food. Oh. Still soft. I pulled a light vacuum on it. This was only at 5 seconds, and it pulled a nice vacuum. That way I made 25 pounds of roach food. Now it's going to last for a really long time because I don't have to worry about it getting moist. Okay, the unfortunate thing is, right now, I didn't talk enough, so the rats aren't ready yet. So, I got some frozen pinky rats here that we're going to work with. Alright, we got some 6x8 vacuum seal bags. Vacuum chamber bags, I should say. These are 3 mil thick. If you notice, they're really clear. They're really thin. Yeah, they're smooth on the inside. There is no textures. There doesn't need to be texture. Get a pile of these. I think they're about 6-7 cents a piece. You know, get 1,000 of them. You're set for a very long time. 70 bucks for 1,000. Can't go wrong. Compared to regular vacuum bags are about anywhere from 30 to 50 cents a bag, depending on the size and how you get them. Then if you get a roll, yeah, it's cheaper, but you gotta sit there and you gotta make the bags. You gotta cut the bags. You gotta seal the one end. I spent 70 bucks. I got 1,000 of these guys, and it's sealed all the way around except for one spot. These bags will not work on a food saver vacuum system. Those bags need the texture in it so air can actually escape. This doesn't need that. Like I stated before, we're going to change our time here. We're going to go up to 15 seconds for a vacuum pull. So we can pull, I can go up even higher if I really want to, but 15 seconds is good. We'll do a 16. Oh yeah, with the bags that you normally get, you see right there, there's a little cut so you can actually peel and tear the bag open, which is kind of neat. Well, we're going to put the rats at the bottom of the bag. For this model, you can put it just barely underneath this. It'll help keep the front of the bag nice and flat. So when you close this and it seals, this part right along here is already fairly flat, and it'll get you a better chance of being sealing. I used a couple of these foam pieces to raise up these pinkies so it is as flat across as possible. And then this one, when you close the lid, it pushes this button, automatically starts the system. That's why I like this one, because you push it down, you gotta push down a little bit. Now once you close it, you gotta give it a little push so it can actually start get a decent seal and actually pull vacuum. Keep your eye on this needle. This needle will go all the way around. And the time right here, this time, and you'll hear it pop open. Now this is an oil-filled vacuum chamber. The pump that's inside is oil-filled. They do make vacuum chambers that are oilless. Those are louder. The oil-filled ones will last longer also. The pump is fully lubricated. Oil-filled vacuum pumps are made to pull vacuum a lot better and last a lot longer. Watch the times. Now listen to the sound, because this is the same volume, no editing at all. As you can tell, it's pulling lots of vacuum. 7 seconds left. It's almost maxed out the needle, which is completely fine. Boom. Now it's going to seal, cool down. After that's done, it's going to pop up. Or I should say, it's going to allow the air back in, the atmosphere back in, and actually lift up. That's it. That's our vacuum sealed Pinky Rats. Pen. I write on there what they are. Pinkies. And I normally write the month, 1, and the year, 21. There we go. Good enough. Can stick them in my freezer. And they're good for a year. Reason why I use these, because when I vacuum seal them, I have a flat bottom that I can put right on top of the next ones. They'll stack better. The bags won't get warped in any way. After vacuum sealing and freezing, I can go right from here right into the freezer. There's a reason why they use these in the meat industry, because it's a lot easier to stack. That's the main reason why I'm doing it, because of stacking issues. Okay, as you can see, rat. I brush off all the bedding. I check the butt. If there's any poo sticking there, I pinch it out. Give them a shake to try to get all the stuff off. Yes, I am using gloves, nitrile gloves. This guy's got a little poo. So what I did was I just gave him a little squeeze along the side here to squeeze out the poo. Well, I guess these larges are actually on, this guy is a smaller large, so I got some jumbo larges, I guess. I didn't weigh them, I just know they're too big for most of my ball pythons, so they're going the whole Frozen Thawed route. We got this big 8 by 10, yeah, 8 by 10s. This bag is just big enough for this container with these big rats. You can see there's barely enough. What I technically should have is a bag that's like about another 2 inches longer than this, but this barely works. So I should get 8 by 12s, which are able to be gotten. Not quite long enough to go underneath the bar back there, but over my experience, as long as it's nice and straight with no wrinkles on it, this will push it down fairly easily. And we're not, I gotta change the time back down to 11 seconds. Don't forget to change your times. Going from frozen animals to soft animals. Definitely need different times. You gotta watch your times, otherwise you could do some damage to these animals that would affect how they are thawed affect how they look after they're thawed. The tail's in the way. There we go. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Going for a seal. Going for a cool down. Let the air back in. Release. There you go. Fully vacuum sealed. Nice and flat on the bottom. Should stack alright on these. Pull out the majority of the air without pulling out too much. Nice wide seal across the top here. Write the date on this. 1/21, extra large. There you go. Next step is the easy step. Just put it in the freezer and let them freeze up. It should take a couple hours for it to freeze, and they're good to go for resale. Hopefully this video opened up your mind a little bit to think a little bit outside the box when breeding rats for your snakes, so that everything can work. Sometimes it's worth spending a little bit extra money on something to make your life a lot easier. It's worth it. It's like buying a Freedom Breeder rack or an ARS rack. You pay a little bit more, it lasts longer, and it makes things a lot easier compared to sea serpents, which is cheaper but good, and it works, but in the long run it does wear out. It's like a food saver. It works, it's good, it's cheaper, but it wears out. It's all plastic components on the inside. This one is granted $375. It's not the most expensive ones that are out there. There are ones that are more expensive. This is a China cheapie. It's a China knockoff. China knockoff of what? I don't know. Maybe their own brand. It is a little rough around the edges. Literally. There's some things that they could have done to make it better, but they're trying to just produce a product that actually worked. And if you want something that needs to be polished on all the corners and everything, then you want to look into something that's probably a little bit more into the $600 to $700 range, if not more than that. But if you want to do something that will get you by and do a good job, I've been using this for a couple months now. I'm very happy with it, with the purchase. I've been vacuum sealing everything that I could think of, not just rodents. $375. This is more worth it than a food saver for vacuum sealing rats. Food savers work, but here you have the control. You pay more to have the control and to be able to use a better bagging system. My thought. But hopefully you learned something today. Have any questions? Leave them down in the comments. I answer them as much as I can because, well, we're not a big channel. We don't get a lot of questions, so I usually answer and reply to everything that's posted down below. So please like, share, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so you know when we actually upload new videos. And then I'll see you in the next video. So until next time,